Hello, and welcome to the Big Fat Gay Podcast, where we talk about the things that are weighing on our minds. My name is Dan Oliverio, author, public speaker, and chubby chaser. And today I am a snuggle in the Los Angeles cold boy. It is lovely and cold and cozy.
It was nice and chilly.
Oh, it's so rare that we get a cold day. And like people out there, it's in the 60s. It's frigid.
We're all going to die.
It's icy. The
Donna has a sweater on.
Dinosaurs are roaming the streets.
Donna has a sweater and a hat on.
I also have a St. Bernard with a big barrel under its chin waiting outside
Just like
to
breathing.
escort me back to my car.
Through the frozen tundra.
I could actually see my breath outside last night.
That's true. I played soccer the other night, and we were all steaming in the cold air.
Wow.
You could just see steam rising off everybody.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That sounds like a calendar poster waiting to happen.
It's amazing that we have numbers that go that low on the thermometer.
I know.
I'm Trevor Keyson. I'm a super chub, and today I'm a little cinnamon bun boy. A cinnamon bun. With
Yes, you are, baby.
in a sweater with a little mug of cocoa and little cinnamon ear muffs.
Well,
Kind of Princess Leia like.
It's all cinnabon down all the way down.
Most of them have a sticky enough bottom where you really could just slap it on the side of your head.
No, his bottom is not sticky.
buns as far as the eye can see. My name is Michael. I am a chaser, and today I am the largest chestnut coffee from Starbucks coffee boy, because I am just so very tired.
Oh.
And I didn't go for the grande. I went for the venti.
Is it chestnut or hazelnut?
It's chestnut because
Really?
because holiday.
Everyone loves a good chestnut.
I'm not sure if I would recognize the flavor
That's-
of chestnut added
Oh,
to
you
something
can.
else.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, okay, what is it really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure
not
it's a
pleasant
flavoring.
flavor.
I
It's
don't
a
think it's
flavoring, yeah.
literal chestnuts ground into my coffee. I don't think I would buy it if it were. That sounds disgusting.
I'm like, can you imagine if it actually tasted like the thing it's named for?
Well, it tasted like it can be, but actually having ground nuts in your coffee, that's disgusting.
Either my name's Don, and today I am a chaste, chubby guy. Why not?
Oh,
Chased. Chase is in C-H-A-S-T-E or Chase is in C-H-A-S-E-D?
Oh, I guess it depends on how the week goes.
The two very different answers.
Too much spelling.
Wish me a happy holidays, gentlemen.
That's H-O-L. No.
I don't know. As usual, we want to thank our patrons, our lovely
That's right.
patrons.
Thank you,
Give them
patrons.
little, night before Christmas, all tucked in the bed, kissing their little foreheads.
Kiss goodnight. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can you do that again? I just want to hear that again. Very nice.
thank you, patrons.
They all have their special Patreon candy cane that's really long, and they're all like holding it.
I was just thinking that. And then sliding it out.
Whoa,
Whoa.
Dan.
Oh, hello. Have you not seen that cartoon?
No. What
He
the hell are
slides
you
the candy
watching?
cane out of their hands.
The Grinch.
The Grinch.
Oh.
Oh, please, people.
You said it.
Yeah.
I watched it. Apparently, some
I'm with
people,
Michael on this one.
Some people
Yeah,
don't
I
know
think
they're
everyone
Grinch.
needs to give Dan a little little round of applause for having a pop culture thing
Thank you.
and knowing it and referencing it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I made it. I made it to a sound effect.
There are
everybody.
times I definitely think of Dan as being our resident Captain America of just like, I got that reference.
Exactly. That's so me.
Ooh. Anyway, Patreon. I think we have some. The last cutting room floor is especially good.
There's a lot of them.
We have another cooking mini-sode coming up this month.
That's
appetizer
right.
themed.
Appetizers for your holiday party.
Yeah.
So we have the minisode coming up, and we're also watching The Last Holiday, the romantic comedy film starring Queen Latifah, which is Dan's favorite movie.
Well,
certainly
no,
favorite holiday movie.
It's my favorite holiday movie because it's in a class of one.
Yeah.
I have one favorite holiday. I have one holiday movie, and it's my favorite.
That's interesting.
I'm afraid now that maybe you actually don't like it. And it was just like a fluke of 1 year. You're just like, can we watch it again?
Well, I mean, the big question is, have you seen it more than once?
Yes.
Okay, then we're good.
Okay. Well, anyway, we're going to watch that for our next episode coming out towards the end of December. So if you want
21st.
21st, yes. Thank you for having that date, because I definitely don't. So if you want to join us in the shenanigans, feel free. We're going to be doing that soon. And I think that's all of the housekeeping.
Yeah.
Should we move on?
Move on.
Into...
Mailbag. You know, I'm hoping this isn't cutting room floor, but I can get through this quick, Michael, I promise.
Okay, go.
There was a very sassy thing on Twitter about like podcasts having different music for different sections. And like, if you're a real podcast artist, you don't need section music.
I'm sorry, did they say podcast artist?
I didn't say podcast artist, but I don't know. Like if you're good, you don't need music for sections. But I started listening to Carla Lawley Music's and the other her co-host whose name is escaping me podcast, and they have music for every section, and it is very fun, and I love it, and it just proves to me that we are making the right choice by having lots of fun music in our podcast.
I stand by it.
Yeah, music, I mean, you can overuse it, sure. And I think sound effects you can overuse too, which is why that's totally the reason why I don't use them all the time. It's not that I don't, it's not
We're
that I
not a
forget.
morning drive show.
Yeah, but it can't be the point.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the point of this is that we have a mailbag. That's what that song
I
means.
remember that.
Because we have dozens of listeners that are like, you need more slide whistle.
Oh my God.
That's much better.
Mailbag.
It's gonna be
Anyway,
a hell of an
right,
episode
because you
today.
can't whistle. I forgot.
No, I can't.
Poor Dan.
No.
He can do lots of other interesting things.
I can.
There's that happy morning attitude that we've been missing. Mailbag. I'm going to dive in. Mailbag. Hey guys, long-time listener, first-time caller. Hello. I wanted to chime in regarding the straight-sized discourse from a couple episodes ago. As a chaser, I don't know that I have a preferred term for my body type, but I do agree with Don regarding the straight size. It feels like it could be very easily misconstrued. Straight having a more commonly understood meaning lends to confusion, in my opinion, not just from misunderstanding the term, but also if it is misheard. This disparity with everyday talk makes it feel like a clunky academic term to me as well. Regards, Josh. P.S.
Good luck with this.
I'm going to just interpret this. The artist SZA is pronounced SZA, like I'm guessing RZA and GZA from Wu-Tang. I don't know the answers to these questions. The listener seems to.
I know RZA is pronounced RZA. That one I do know.
So
we got another
SZA.
message from someone being like, "Oh, I hear how you pronounce
So white.
SZA on the last podcast episode." I am from the Midwest. I grew up with a speech impediment. I do not take any I don't know for mispronouncing things because
you eat pasta.
pasta. I can finally say Bethesda.
That's true.
that's true. That has been that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Anyway, so the substance of this mailbag. Discourse around this term. I stand by what I said. I don't think it's confusing, but I suppose
I don't think it's confusing. What I do agree with is that the sort of in versus out political thing of like, it sounds like jargon. And I struggled with that so much when I was writing the book because like, okay, there is a better word for this, but nobody uses it.
What is the better word?
Well, there were a lot of words like that, but the point is that like you don't want to sound jargony, but sometimes the word everyone else is using is like, because you don't want to say normal sized is my point here.
I think it also just when you're talking about these things, know your audience and who's on the receiving end. Where like, if you like, I don't think I have used the word straight size with my mom.
Exactly.
Because my mom is definitely someone who would be like, but
Can sizes
are
be
you
sexual?
gay size?
Yeah.
But I think,
But, I mean, what do you just say? Do you say normal clothes or something like that? Or like what's the alternatives seem so much worse.
I would say, and I think in my case, I would say like thinner people.
Yeah.
No, but if you're okay, and if referring to clothing,
Or thinner or smaller,
smaller is probably how I would go.
or just like for clothing, I would say probably like non-plus clothing.
I mean, I would love to say non-fat, but that sounds like I'm talking dairy products.
low fat,
Well, I think
I need a new
non-fat,
non-fat hoodie.
skim sized.
Yeah, you need a non-fat hoodie. Yeah,
2% clothing.
yeah, you need a non-fat hoodie to enjoy your oat milk latte.
I'm a fan of that heavy cream.
Ooh, you need that. I think it's actually like that ultra pasteurized
Heavy
cream that
whipping,
you can,
heavy whipping cream. that
you can only get from restaurant supply stores.
There we go.
yes,
I was trying.
I made it.
I was a true podcast artiste by making the sound effect in my mouth.
That's right. Except for the slide whistle.
I did that in my mouth.
You kind of did.
I didn't do it in my lips.
Well, anyway,
Yeah,
Don, what do you think? You were the one that the listener agreed with.
Yeah, I stand by my initial statement. If a word makes you pause even for a millisecond to make it make sense to you, you're being thrown out of the conversation. Right?
Is there? I agree with you, and that's certainly like when I was writing my book, that was certainly topmost of mind. However, is there value in changing the vocabulary to change the conversation about something?
That's what I was going for, personally.
I understand what you're saying, but I feel like the discussion we're having here about the word it's a distraction. The fact that we are discussing it is a distraction from what it should serve.
Right, I agree with that. But but my counter isn't the distraction worth it if it's changing the way people think about fat? For example, because you don't want to leave people with, well, normal size clothing or normal size people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think straight is a word that makes me think that way. I think mainstream would be.
Okay.
Or
okay. Well, I'm struggling for an alternative because I don't disagree with you, but I can't come up with something better.
Yeah, straight has too many connotations that are insta-recognized as something else. So I have to translate it to what you're saying, which means by the time I've done that, you're already halfway into the next word.
Yeah,
and
you're
I'm
right.
no longer on board.
And now, you're in your head about it and you're not listening, yeah.
But as an aside, thank you for the letter. And we've been getting a lot more letters in the mailbag lately.
We have.
And
Yeah, we're a little behind, actually.
I just wanted to say thank you for people for writing in. I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Except for the spam messages. Those suck.
Yeah.
So with SZA and learning how to pronounce them, I feel like we're maybe transitioning into pop culture very smoothly there.
Oh, that's entirely possible. God, it's so loud. I always forget that cue is louder than every other
I will
one.
never forget that eagle during Vegas.
That was
Screaming into the room.
Oh, yeah, the screaming eagles of...
Wah, wah.
I love that.
Oh, good.
You got to see Trevor's jazz hands.
Yeah, I like the jazz hands, and also I like this, like, it's trumpety. It kind of makes me think of, like, a really good, like, MIDI file from the 90s, and also a little bit of an elephant or a fart. It's
it can be a lot of things. It could be happy. It could be sad.
And here I was thinking about the musical Gypsy and the horn solo. Anyway.
it's always going to come back to farts with me, Dan. You got to know
That's
this
true.
at this point.
Because I married a 6-year-old.
Yep. Well, you as a 3-year-old should understand that.
I can't reach.
What we got first? Somebody get us started. I'll go. Mashable.com.
Oh, yeah, I like this.
We have an article by Darshita Goyal entitled Entertainment Seats Have a Plus Size Problem and It's Time We Address It.
Thank you. It is.
Yeah.
Theaters, get your shit together. Seating sizes.
Well, I mean, cinemas are doing the thing with a lift-up armrest, which I think is a pretty good solution. That's easy.
Yeah.
and we're talking about like plays, like theaters.
Yeah. I don't, it'd be so, the problem is that these theater seats were invented in the 20s and they haven't changed since.
I always come
Or
back
earlier
to,
than that, if you're in the UK.
when I was living in New York, and stop me if I've said this on the podcast before, Disney bought...
No, sorry, keep going.
Disney bought the new Amsterdam Theater.
Yep.
Right? Which was this sort of glorious flagship theater from the days of vaudeville, right? And they renovated the crap out of it in the most beautiful way. They authentically restored all of the fixtures, and then they authentically restored all of the seats.
Yes. Some of them are 12 inches wide.
Yeah. It's one of the few times I've been to a theater where I was physically in pain when I left. Right?
Yeah. Well, I remember I went to Carnegie Hall and I was kind of high up, but because just Carnegie Hall is Carnegie Hall, but my knees were touching the seat in front of me.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was one point I had to get up halfway through the concert just because I couldn't stand my knees being bent like that any longer.
But this is a really legit issue
Yeah.
in theater spaces and in
I will say
play
that
theaters.
that
I don't know what to call it.
Yeah.
Broadway has been really good about accommodating this if you look. I think what's slower to happen is some of the publicly funded theaters because, well, they get everything is driven by box office. That's true. But I think we've had to work so much harder on the West Coast to get accommodating theater seats. Whereas Broadway, I've been astonished by the number of, like, for example, those theater seats that you're talking about, Don. We went to see Hadestown, and I put Trevor on the aisle, and the usher came by and lifted up the armrest, like took it off the chair.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he was on the aisle
that's
with
wonderful.
no armrest, which
Nice.
was a marvelous solution.
See, now I've seen a couple theaters where what their solution was, I was not happy with, where they replaced a certain number of seats in the theater with larger seats, which to me, like, yes, it is a fix, but it now requires like, hi, do you have any of the fatty seats available?
Yeah.
Oh, look, you sold a fat seat to a thin person. Do I ask them to trade?
Well, you know, it's funny
is that on
because
me?
the theater has, so we just went through this. We bought season tickets for the Taper, or not the Taper, but the Taper and the Amundsen and the
Kirk
Douglas, the Kirk Douglas, which is all sold through Center Theater Group. So it's the same box office servicing all these different venues. And I had a long back and forth because, you know, when you're buying season seats, you don't pick your seat, right? You just sort of throw your mystery on the box office. And they guarantee you because you're booking early, you'll get great seats. But there was no way for me to indicate that I needed accessible seating. And whenever you say accessible seating, they assume, oh, you're in a wheelchair, you're going to bring your own seat.
Yeah.
Which is also not the case. And so there was a large back and forth between me and the box office about how to do this. And this is even a theater that has on the website the section for plus size patrons. Like they know this is a thing. What it says is call the box office.
Right.
Which, okay, so I'm not going to book online. And to be fair, the reason they don't put it online is because they have so many different options for different venues, for different shows, that it's just actually more efficient of them to transmit the information like in a phone call for what you need, rather than you're guessing what they have.
Well, and then even when you do this, so, you know, we saw some shows last week, and I documented this on Instagram. I'll link to those posts. But, you know, so we saw a show at the Amundsen, and it was great. They removed some seats and placed 2 chairs that...
Beautifully huge chairs that match the other chairs.
Yes. So, like, 100% perfect. Like, yes, this is how you do it. And then at the Kirk Douglas, it was a little bit less organized and...
Well, no, tell them what you got.
Yeah, so there was some miscommunication between booking and the house management, and they worked so hard to figure out a solution, which in this case was 2 rehearsal blocks kind of pushed together into a bench, which there were a few people who on my post were like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. Like, it actually worked out great.
As I said in my email to them later, it's like not ideal, but perfectly workable.
Yeah. And they offered cushions. I was like, just given that like it's going to be 2 things pushed together, and like I don't want to be sliding around on the cushions or trying to like adjust them and then moving the boxes around. They also after they set that up, were like figuring out how to take the arms off of an office chair in their office.
Yeah, they were so bending over backwards. And what I felt bad about was that we arrived at the theater extra early because we know this is what happens. And there's a break in communication between the box office that takes the order and the venue that has to implement it. Because if you think about it, you're communicating electronically with a box office, and then 2 or 3 months later, on a particular night, the house management has to implement this instruction. And so that is a very difficult, one, you have to keep it in existence. Like you have to remember it. And 2, it has to get executed. So it's actually a lot of flipping and flying. I will say the best experience we ever had was New York booking Broadway, Ticketmaster, or whoever it was. I don't remember the other big one. They're really great about here's the handicap seating. In one case, they even alerted the theater to call us back so that this would happen correctly.
Yes.
Just because I think there's a lot more money at stake and they want to make people happy.
So for me, having done a few shows in Boston with Boston Gaymen's Chorus, we have Jordan Hall, which is at the Boston Conservatory. It is a smaller hall, but old, very legendary acoustically for choruses. And their only solution, because they have the exact same thing, like they have to keep their seats, historically accurate, even though they renovated the place, the seats are still like 14 inches wide. And so their solution is to have a small sort of stanchioned off area for accessible seating where you can either roll in if you need a wheelchair or they'll bring in larger seats for you, which is an okay solution, but you are stuck at the back of the hall where the worst acoustics are.
Yeah.
That's why we don't go to the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion to see opera, because the accessible seating is
All the way in the back.
It's all the way in the back. It's like, why bother? I'll see it on television.
Symphony Hall, however, has a different solution. Granted, I don't know, they have two different seating setups. One of them is what they call Pops style, because the Boston Pops, where on the ground floor in the orchestra, you have tables, like round tables with, I think, 5 seats for each table, and it is cram-packed. Like, you can imagine, there is no walking room. Like, there's aisles and, going forward and back, but then once you have to walk off the aisle into the tables, you're screwed. And so their accessible seating is at the back of the orchestra at regular tables, but they'll bring in a different chair for you or no chair at all if you don't need it, including a more reinforced, because they have folding chairs.
When you say back of the orchestra, you mean like where the auditorium doors are?
No. So there's the orchestra section, which is the first half, and then they have the back half.
They have a loge. Okay.
Yeah, and so they have an aisle sort of bifurcating the two, and then at the back of the first half. So it's decent seating.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's totally decent.
That's what we had at the Taper. It's great.
Yeah. And you get the room of the two aisles, both behind you and to your side, where you could actually get a little bit more elbow room. But it's not for a lot of, it's not a great solution. It's still, and there's still folding chairs. You have to ask for, you can get better chairs.
You can see with movie theaters where they are replacing these things aggressively right now, they still haven't achieved this thing. Theater spaces tend to work with less money. They tend to be trying to think in terms of restoring something that's been there a long term.
Often, yeah.
Like it begs a little more patience on our part for these long-term standing theaters to help them realize the problem and help them correct it.
I will say this. This is my final little sign-off commercial. Chasers, this is your job. So you want to take a chub out on the town. You got to make sure they're accommodated. Don't make them do this. Don't make them suffer through this. Just handle it for them. It's your fucking job.
Chivalry lives.
Yeah.
Well, onto something a little more fun, a little more lighthearted.
Seasonal,
I realized I jumped the gun on our pop culture. This is not the order Trevor had.
Yeah.
Because I opened it on my phone early. But anyway, SNL.
Yes.
Came out swinging.
Yes.
If you're a chaser, you've probably seen this already.
Many times.
I'll probably play a little clip of it just so people can get the vibes.
Winter has arrived, y'all.
Temperatures dropping.
And you know what that means.
It's cuffing season.
That time of year when we find a man to keep us warm through these cold months.
But not just any man will do.
That's right. We out here looking for some
Big boys.
It's cuffing season. Now we got a reason to get a big boy. I need a big boy. Give me a big boy.
2 weeks ago, when this came out, SNL had a song called Big Boys featuring
Keke Palmer. SZA.
Yeah, SZA.
And then
Cicely Strong, Ego
Nadim.
Nadim, and Punky Johnson about cuffing season.
It's a whole music video about how, if you're gonna participate in cuffing season, find a fat guy because they're so much better. They'll keep you warm. I do like that they just come out and say like you're gonna have sex and he'll rock your world. Like they don't shy away from that either. They've got big boy dancers on the song. Showing their stuff.
This is actually a time when when I looked at the comments, it was actually pretty wholesome. And like the dancer guys were like, "Oh my God, I'm one of the dancers." I'm like, "This was such a dream come true." Thank you, SNL.
That's wonderful.
It's very fun. I like the joke about the snoring. He's snoring and then he stops.
Is he dead?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that is. I have.
I like the.
He's not dead.
Very relatable.
He's not dead. It's just apnea. It'll start again in a moment.
We're in first class because he don't fit in the back.
Yep. Well, because he's going to treat you right. He's going to get you first class tickets.
That's right.
Because his fat ass won't fit in the back seat. It's delightful. I've heard from a number of chasers who are just obsessed with it. I can see why. Part of me is a little bit like, and then you dump them once the springtime comes. But whatever. I guess we'll take what we can get.
Well, beach party season. Come on, beach party season, Michael.
Exactly. Then you have to get your token hot guy boyfriend.
Yeah, then you take your ab boy to the beach.
Yeah. But that wasn't the point of the song.
Yeah.
The point of the
not at
song
all,
was very wholesome and delightful and sexy and fun. And you should listen to the whole thing. And watch the video.
Yeah.
It's very much worth watching.
Oh yeah, it's a screen.
I have to say, they nailed it with, shoveling the snow in shorts. As a former
That has to be a Wisconsin, like a
Midwest.
Northern Midwest thing.
But I can confirm in New England, I've been there once or twice.
Yeah, fat
myself.
guys shoveling snow in the
I mean,
shorts, yeah.
that is a full-blown workout. Shoveling snow is fucking difficult. That shit is heavier than you think it is.
Oh my God, is it?
All right. Well, I think that's our cue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Here we go.
Take my hands, children, and we'll fly together.
All the way across the Atlantic Ocean
To where?
with Guy Brannum
Yay!
To Fat Walk.
to France, right?
To
France.
France.
La France. La France profonde.
So it's here. It happened, people. The whale is officially out,
Oh God.
and
For people who don't know if it's possible, The Whale is the movie
Yes.
based on the book about
No, based on the play.
based on the play about a super fat gay man who's stuck at home eating fried chicken and masturbating himself to death.
Yeah.
That's the the movie Darren Aronofsky made with Brendan Fraser in a giant fat suit is now out, and Guy Brannum's response to this was
Wonderful. I mean, there's been a few other things. Guy Brannum wrote a piece about it. Danielle Franzese from Mean Girls wrote a piece about it.
both gay fat comedians.
Aubrey Gordon, lots of stuff. I don't want to talk about it, but but
Read
given
their
that it's
stuff, read their stuff,
And
yeah.
I wanted to cover Guy Brannum's response to this, which was taking a copy of the play, because he read the play and he brought it with him to France to give Charlie an experience. Guy Brannum as a fat gay man wanted to give this
Who's Charlie?
character.
Can I read what he said
Yeah.
in his post? This is how Guy Brannum puts it. In his sort of travelogue post, he says, "When I heard Aronofsky was going to make a movie about a very fat gay guy starring Brendan Fraser in a fat suit, I got concerned. I bought the play it was based on to see what it was about. Part of me hoped it might be good, insightful about a life like mine. Instead, it was a sad, pathetic story of a sad, pathetic man. I got sad for the main character, Charlie, and how little the author's imagination offered his life, trapped in a bad apartment, eating fried chicken endlessly. So I decided to imagine more for Charlie. So I took The Whale to France. It was Antinous, the man so beautiful Hadrian made him a god, better than some missionary. It ate at Mirazor? I'm sorry for the pronunciation of these words. It ate at Mirazor, the best restaurant in the world, better than cold fried chicken. And when it was all over, I set him in the azure waters of the Mediterranean so the whale could return to the sea. A better one than Samuel D. Hunter thought was possible for a 600-pound gay.
And what you're not seeing here is that he's actually taking a copy of the play
Yes.
and putting it in these various environments, like, at the restaurant, at the beach.
With the food.
With the food.
Literally
He's
floating
taking
in
the
water.
play around and then taking these photographs with it. And then there's another section where he's taking it, I think, back to Provincetown with like the hot gay guys.
Well, yeah, because he forgot to give the 600-pound gay man a gay experience.
That's right.
And so he had to go to the Dick Dock in Provincetown.
That's a real place. Don't make fun.
It's a great way to make light of a terrible thing.
I'm beginning to realize how good gays are at naming cruising spots. Like Vaseline Alley behind Circus of Books. And now Dick Dock.
It just slips off the tongue, doesn't it?
I'm impressed.
Dan.
Gotcha.
Dan.
Gotcha.
I very much appreciate this. Dan and Trevor both are the major Guy Brannum enthusiasts in the group. And I haven't seen a lot of stuff that he's been a part of, but this was delightful. And there's even a little video of him like taking the book out to sea in the Mediterranean and then sort of
Drowning it?
well, kind of. He tried to do this like graceful like floating out to sea thing and ended up tripping and kind of just like splashing into the water. So thank you, Guy Brannum. We appreciate the laughs.
Yeah.
You're awesome. I'm not going to be watching The Whale. Sorry to any listeners who want to review.
No, that's
I
not
won't
gonna
do
happen.
it.
I think everything that's already been said, and all the things that Trevor pointed to, all those other articles.
Yeah.
Read those. If you want to review, read those.
I will be going to see it for professional reasons.
Okay. So Don will be our authority. in the group.
I feel like we should see it if we're going to speak about it again. But
I
No,
don't think we should.
absolutely not.
We should not speak
I
about
was
it.
finishing the sentence.
There's some strong feelings in the room.
One thing I saw that I don't know, maybe this will be the little early tip of someone like, instead of going to see the whale, donate that, I don't know. I haven't been to a movie in a while.
11D250?
That 11D250 to a fat rights organization.
Yeah. Like maybe
Maybe NAFA.
Spite giving. We named this.
It's a great thing. Spite giving.
Good old spite giving. Lots of money been raised that way. Yeah. So thank you, Guy Brannum, your Fat Watch of the Week. And now on to the main subject. By the way, 42 minutes in.
Jesus Christ.
oh yeah, but we got a half an hour of cutting room floor.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Mentorship. Somebody else set this up because I feel like
I think this is my idea. Was it my idea?
Probably
I think it was
your
my
idea.
idea, but you go for it.
All right. Well, it was Don's
It's
idea.
actually
It
my
was-
idea.
It was Don's idea that I copied. And what it was is there had always been in the gay community, I think it goes back a long way. So a lot of younger listeners may have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. But there was a thing called mentorship. And it was extremely common, stretches back a couple of thousand years in the gay community.
And gay mentorship let's give it a couple other labels too, because I think it's gotten a lot of different names in the gay community.
Okay.
Like mentorship is in essence usually an older person, but definitely a more experienced person, guiding you through either professional life, personal life, or helping you develop yourself in some way.
Yeah, because usually your family weren't the people to do this. Like if you're gay, your straight father is not very helpful on this.
Nope. And or often those normal straight mentors, normally straight mentors would step away, like parents and stuff. So what we ended up getting in our community were like often they would be called like gay parents. In a lot of drag communities, it was
Absolutely.
your house mothers or your mothers or house fathers.
Yep. And also in the Chub Chaser community. And I think one of the things that's really missing, at first, the AIDS epidemic took out a whole notch of the population of gay men. And that's really what kind of destroyed a lot of mentorship, which includes the Chub and Chaser and Gainer Encourager communities, where there was really a lack of mentorship. And a lot of the things that you're seeing now as bad behavior, bad dating behavior, a lot of that comes from this lack of mentorship because there was no model. You were alone in the wilderness and you had to make up your own rules or discover it, or, you and a bunch of other people lash some logs together and you're on a raft and, and you hope you don't fall over the waterfall, but you don't know where that is, but here we go.
And I'll be honest, like I had gay parents. I was very lucky that someone was willing to show me the ropes in some way. But I was completely unaware of Chub Chaser mentorship until you started talking about it. I didn't know that existed in this community.
Because it largely didn't.
Yeah.
It got taken out. I mean, for me, it wasn't so much because I was never that much in the gay community because I was, weird and late. So for me, the mentorship happened through boyfriends. My first boyfriend was like, I think 9 years older than I was, and he got me to New York. I was just lucky enough to be along for the ride. I wouldn't know how to rent an apartment in New York right out of grad school. I mean, I had no idea. I never rented an apartment seriously. But he did that. And then my boyfriend after that was 4 years older, and he was like much more professional than I had ever been in before. Like never been in that environment. He's like, no, you can't wear that. Stop it. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. I'll just like he really, because I was living like a grad student, and he's like, okay, we got to stop this.
I'm curious because one of the things that I've noticed is this. So like, I feel like mentorship in the gay world was tied a lot to the process of coming out. Right? When you were coming out is when you would find someone that would tend to show you what that new world you were entering was, right? And I think my observations have been that over the past 20 years, the nature of coming out has changed a lot.
Oh, very definitely.
Like, when you come out now, you're not necessarily as condemned to lose your family and your support structures as you once were. So I feel like mentorship in the gay community is sort of dropping off as that happens because people aren't reaching out for new mentors.
Maybe. I think it's also that we have forgotten collectively that such a thing is possible or existed.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like a lot of people in sort of like who could be mentors now, like, so for example, for me, right? Never occurred to me to mentor someone in the chub chaser community until you said it. It just didn't occur to me that that was possible.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that was something I could help someone else with,
Well,
which maybe seems strange doing the show like this.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel, so Michael, Trevor,
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I definitely have had some mentorship in terms of like chip chaser stuff, but I feel like also just kind of like general fat stuff from friends and just kind of like navigating that and like figuring stuff out. And then kind of the podcast is also kind of a form of that. I have been more cognizant of in more recent times.
Okay.
And I notice in the gainer encourager community, gainers are very good about sort of sharing advice and best practices and like, oh yeah, you don't want to get with that guy because XYZ. Encouragers, not so much. Lone wolves out there trying to figure shit out by bumping into trees,
one thing
You
that
can't
you
get
talked
anything by
about,
doing that.
Oh my God.
one thing that you talked about that I feel is unique in the gay community is what is frequently a sexual aspect between mentor and mentee. Like you cited your first mentors as being your boyfriends.
Absolutely.
And that was something that, like, I always felt uncomfortable with that for myself. Like, I always felt like somehow for me, the mentor-mentee relationship needed to stay away from that. And I'm not entirely sure why I feel that way.
I don't think it has to. I just think it needs to be consensual, or I'm not saying that I'm less susceptible to, influence than other people. I don't think that's true at all. But I think it just made sense to me. Like what they were saying made sense, and who they were and what they were doing in the world was something that I aspired to.
Yeah.
And so it made sense to take their word for it. Most of what I learned about doing business, I got from my boyfriend. He was phenomenal in that way. And, it was definitely something that was attractive about him to me, was that he moved in the world in a way that I, aspired to do. And I think that's so common. It either happens through, and I asked him one time, like, where did you learn all this? And he said, like, oh, from my ex.
Yeah.
So there was this chain, of like passed down through the generations.
That does seem to be the case.
Absolutely. And that's almost unheard of now.
It's like all relationships can trace their lineage back to one relationship in ancient Mesopotamia.
Yeah, exactly.
They're the ones who figured everything out. We've all learned from them.
Yeah.
I think because there was this kind of lost generation, I feel like that still exists. But it's more like, okay, well, I know how to do XYZ and you know how to do XYZ. So we'll kind of cobble together this adultdom from, our shared skills and teach each other. Like there's a comic about like, I think it's like, it's supposed to be a bunch of roommates and it's like, I have a Netflix account. And it's like, and I know how, like, I'm good at cleaning. And like, I know how to cook.
We should be roommates.
And it's like, together we form a fully functional adult.
I think too, in the kink community, in the BDSM world, mentorship and even classes were just so much a part of it. The old guard passing on knowledge to newer, younger members. And I don't see that as much in other communities. Maybe that might be because the BDSM community is so very visible right now. Yeah. But like, I don't see that happening as much like in Gainer Encourager or in other places.
I think also that the wider acceptance of queer identities kind of shifted that need for, like, obviously still people lose connections to friends and family or are thrown out of their homes, but I think at a lesser level.
Yeah.
So there is not that, you don't see as much of railing from, you do still see it, but I'm saying, I think it is different now. And I think also the internet has changed how that happens, where when normally if, there was a younger queer person who was suddenly on their own, they would probably be getting support from, the queer community from like the gay bar in town or something.
Definitely.
Whereas now people are able to get a wider access of support and different kinds of support from, online from whatever communities they're part of.
You can Google it.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like, I feel like talking about what someone gets from mentorship seems somewhat obvious, right? But I think that there are really benefits to being a mentor
Oh God, yes.
that are not necessarily put out towards the gay community to encourage people towards that sort of behavior. And I know for me, like associating, most of the people that I've mentored in one way or another tend to be younger than me, right? So that relationship brings sort of a new vitality to my life in that they're exposing me to new things in the culture that I was unfamiliar with. I hate to say it, but helping me keep up with a vernacular that changes faster than I can keep up with on my own.
Yes, because sometimes the interweb just isn't enough.
It is a two-way street. You do get things out of
absolutely.
it as a mentor that I don't feel like we really help ourselves explore.
Well, I mean, that was at the center of my marriage with Trevor. I mean, we are 24 years apart. That is a generation at least. And I did a lot of teaching, and Trevor, you did a lot of teaching.
Yeah, lots of flashcards, lot of pop culture.
We drilled every night.
Dan can, I think, even make a Simpsons reference here and there now.
yeah.
I can.
Really?
No, I can't.
So, I feel like it's a beneficial, and especially for older gays that are not going to be having kids, right? Sometimes that bond can feel like you can feed that bond in a way that begins to feel very familial. And to me, that it forms a real closeness. I always talk about found family, right? And that's a really important part of it.
Well, I mean, I think the idea of found family is something that you really see in queer spaces, and then I think especially there's a lot of that in chub chaser world, gainer encourager world, just because the more othered you are, the more the stronger draw there is to find your people.
Definitely.
And I think that's great. And I think we have our little podcast fam. I want another family reunion soon. I hope we can do that.
So, Dan, do you have any tips for people if they want to find a mentor, or if they want to be a mentee, or if they want to be a mentor?
Mento or a manatee.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it comes in this day and age. I think in this day and age, it comes from the online world. And I think where I see it happening organically is where, you're following someone, you're following their Twitter, or if you're off Twitter now, you're following their Mastodon, or you're following Instagram, or you're whatever, or, if anybody's on Facebook still.
I saw your Mastodon the other day, and I was
quite impressive. Yeah. Or I don't know, Squarespace, who knows? So the thing of it is though, you're following somebody.
Keep going.
I like that Michael's like trying to stifle laughter over Squarespace.
No, that was Trevor.
Yeah.
I didn't laugh.
But the idea being that you're following somebody somewhere, probably online, and hopefully not in real life, because that's called stalking, that, they're saying stuff you like. And, we have this thing, sliding into their DMs. If you comment on what they're talking about, publicly or privately, that's fine. That's acceptable. What gets weird is when you're like taking it somewhere that they're not publicly about, like you're talking about something sexual when they're talking politics. But what I'm saying is that you can interact with people in that forum, and you will find that, you're already listening to them, and then they begin to have a listening for you.
I think that is really key. I just want to underscore the thing you just said. To me, the clearest and only route to actual mentorship is finding someone who listens to you that you listen to.
Yeah.
Right?
It's all about listening. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of relationships where it's a talker and a listener, and that's not, maybe it works for them, but it's not really a mentorship
Well, I mean,
relationship.
that was one of my concerns going into a relationship with Trevor, was like, I didn't want it, because it's 24 years difference. I didn't want to dad him.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be dadded.
Exactly. So, because guess what? I already had that with my own father, and I knew that was miserable. So I didn't want to duplicate that.
We have a tip for the day.
I mean, I don't know. My tip was, I mentioned this before, and because the whale's breaching again, and if you're not up for that,
Drown it.
And donate whatever money you would spend on a ticket to a fat rights organization. Da, 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 da. There you go.
I do wonder, has a whale must have drowned before, right?
Being that they're air breathers,
yeah.
mammals.
At some
Oh,
point.
that's so sad. Anyway,
Thank you,
I've got a
Michael.
bit.
Now on to the bit.
Don, please tell me we have a bit.
We do have a bit. We're going to have a fun bit today. All right.
I sure hope so.
Today's bit, I'm going to give you a choice of 4 different mentors, and then you're going to tell me which mentor you would like and why. As quickly as possible. Don't think about it. Just spit it out.
Okay.
All right. So, of these 4 mentors, who do you think would be best for you and why? John Milton, who is Al Pacino from The Devil's Advocate.
Oh, I thought you meant the author.
Chancellor Palpatine / the Emperor from Star Wars.
Jesus Christ.
John Kreese, aka the evil mentor from Karate Kid / Cobra Kai.
Oh.
Or Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs.
He can cook.
I mean, obviously, right away for me, Palpatine.
Palpatine? Okay, why? Why do you want the Emperor as
Unlimited.
And often I think of do it.
Do it.
Yeah, Trevor quotes that man at least once a day.
Okay, all right. So you already are mentored
Yeah.
by Chancellor Palpatine.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, Dan.
I have to go with John Milton, both the author and the character. I would prefer the author, but that's okay. No, I love that character. I love how he is brought to life by Al Pacino. I've been actually, because I'm teaching a class in monologues and dramatic writing, I've been researching monologues, and of course, John Milton has that brilliant monologue, many, but there's one that's like, I'm a fan of man. And I love that speech. I love that. I was down on the ground with my nose in it as it all began. It's glorious. It's glorious. And yeah.
Michael.
I guess I would go with Palpatine as well.
Oh, we got a lot of love for the Emperor today.
Well, mostly because if he were my mentor, it would mean that I would be a Jedi.
Oh, or a
Would
Sith.
it?
I mean, he
It would
wouldn't
mean
care
you're a
about me.
Sith.
Well, but with force powers, I don't care about. Like, I don't care. Jedi are boring. I want the force powers. I don't want the morality.
We're going to make a t-shirt with Michael's
boy.
face on there saying Jedi are born.
I want to be the gray. Yeah, there's a term for them. I can't remember, but the in between,
The gray Jedi.
non-Sith.
What about those cool black and white facial tattoos? I think that'd be awesome.
All right. Next set of choices. Number 1, Mufasa from The Lion King.
Mufasa.
Number 2, Mr. Miyagi from The Karate Kid. Number 3, Giles from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Or 4, Jack Donaghy from 30 Rock.
I wonder what Michael will pick.
Can you figure out the themes? on
I'm
these?
actually
Each of these
torn.
groupings has a theme.
Okay.
I'm torn because Jack is a good mentor for certain things. However, Mr. Miyagi is just a good mentor across the board.
Oh, that sounds exhausting. You're going to paint so many
There's a
goddamn
lot of
fences.
There's a lot of chores involved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's.
But he
no.
also shows up and kicks the shit out of the guys who are trying to kill you. So like that's pretty good too.
I want Giles because I don't know, because I'm Buffy. Then I get to be Buffy, and I get to razz him a lot. He's good. He's good at a good like person to razz. And
Raz
he's,
target.
He's good at getting razzed.
Yeah. I identify too much with Giles, but I would pick him.
Did you settle on one, Michael? Or
I think I would go for Mr. Miyagi, actually.
Last grouping. Mary Poppins. Moraine from The Wheel of Time. Diane Lockhart from The Good Wife. Or Princess Leia.
Princess Leia, because I don't know the middle two, and Mary Poppins just has that English stick up her ass.
She does, especially if you're going from the books.
Yeah.
Oh wait, okay, hold on. Yeah,
She's
which
terrifying
is
in
it?
the books.
Mary
I was
Poppins.
going
Come here.
from the movie. I was going from the movie. I have not read the book.
I'm going to go with Princess Leia as well. Because she would be so cool.
Yeah.
She would just be kicking ass and being like, do your thing.
And Carrie Fisher.
And Carrie
Yeah.
Fisher is badass.
I'm torn between Leia and Mary Poppins.
Are you really?
But because I think they'd be very different, but I feel like Leia would be more laid back. Like Mary Poppins would like make it fun.
She'd wrap
but it
your
would be
knuckles and like,
Spit spot. Yeah.
it would just be kind
Do
of
your
like
chores.
I get it. I'm on the ceiling. I'll do the thing. Just let me down now.
I'll tell you this thing that, I don't think I don't think Mary Poppins is fetching your little Debbie cake, Trevor.
No,
The
she'd be
thing
like,
about Mary Poppins is like she could do it all with magic, but she's gonna make you do it.
Yeah.
and like do magic while doing it, like sing a song like, well, the treat will be more sweet. Wait, I think that's from the Simpsons thing. Like the treat will be more sweet if you get up off your feet or on your feet. I don't want to do that. I want Leia.
Trevor's very anti-get on your feet.
I'm going to go with Leia.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we figured that out.
Hold on. Leia would be like, hold on, I'll take care of this kid. Damn.
It's so true. It's so fucking true.
Trevor, if people want to let us know who their mentors would or could be, where can they let us know the answers to that?
Well, we're on Instagram and Twitter as @BigFatGayPod. We're on Facebook as the Big Fat Gay Podcast. Leave us 5 stars there. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. We also got some nice reviews. Thank you.
Yeah.
Support us on Patreon at www.patreon.com/BigFatGayPod. See the articles we talked about at www.bigfatgaypod.com.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Stuck the landing.
Maybe you are you're on your way to the theater with your mentor. Maybe it's Mary Poppins, because that sounds like about right.
And the article was set in London, even though we didn't actually talk about any of that.
And the seats, they're too tiny, and Mary Poppins is like, oh, Pip, Pip, don't worry about this. I got it. And she reaches in her bag and pulls out 2 big comfy chairs, but I'm already on them, so...
Watch out. They popped. It was them popping. I don't know why they were inflated in my head.